Reports are just coming out about the evidence hearing that was held today in Los Angeles County Court in the case of the state of California versus David Anthony Burke, also known as Deforvita. Thank you, Pascal, for coining that phrase. I absolutely love it. That's the reason that I'm running a few minutes late. I just wanted to make sure that I had the very latest news before we got started. We actually do have a little bit of evidence that has come out today, though the preliminary hearing has been pushed back about a month. What was supposed to occur on Friday, well, supposed to. It was scheduled to occur on Friday. None of us actually thought that it was going to happen on Friday, but that has been pushed back another few weeks. But there are some precious details that have come out of today's hearing. So stay with me, I guess. We'll get into it. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another True Crime Conversation with me, Gavin Fish. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Whichever sense you are using, I thank you and commend you for your wise choice. And if you would be so kind to tell me in the comments where you are watching/listening from. Also, you know what would be cool? Tell me if you're in YouTube land, in Spotifania, or podcast Defornia. I don't know. Just tell me where you're listening or watching from, those on the rewatch crew. Of course, those of you in the live chat here on YouTube, I'm just going to assume that you're watching on YouTube. But I am frequently surprised at just how many of you watch on a television. That's kind of surprising to me. Actually, it's not the majority of my audience, but the biggest part of my audience watches on a big screen, which makes me a little self-conscious, actually. The wrinkles on my forehead, the size of my forehead. See if I haven't shaved well today. Yeah, I'm more comfortable with the thought of you guys watching on a little screen. But no matter. You're very full of yourself, Gavin. Javi, are you going to be able to edit that one out in post? That was a whole conversation about myself. You'll do that for me? You're the best, Javi. Of course, I'm not even going to check your work. I know that you're going to do that so that people on Spotify or on whatever podcast they're listening to, whatever podcast, venue, they are not going to hear this. It's all going to be cleansed from, it's going to be clean and it's going to be seamless because you are a professional, Javier. I'm grateful for you too. You're awesome. Guys, what are we talking about today? We are talking about the murder of this young woman, 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the Lake Elsinore girl, who was described as kind of a serial runaway. But for me, I don't know that description really holds water. I think that she was lured away multiple times. That's what I think. And we've heard about the family and knowing where she was and the police being called and all, like it's messy all the way around. But what we need to know is that she grew up in the Inland Empire down there in Lake Elsinore, small town. Everybody knows everybody kind of town. That's my kind of town. I like that kind of town. And this is my opinion based on all the evidence that we have seen, was lured into the orbit of David Anthony Burke, also known as Deforvita. And once she passed that event horizon, she was in his gravity. There was no escaping. And for a predator as well practiced and trained as it appears that Deforvita has been, I don't think that she stood a chance. Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about the hearing. Also, there is there's another YouTuber. I put a link in the description below. I have to say I am new to the channel. His channel is called True Crime with Strategic Eyes. He is apparently a former NYPD detective. He has unearthed some stuff that came out yesterday. It was covered by Pascal. That's how I found out about it. Um, that is just absolutely insane crazy. And while we want to temper our speculation with humanity and compassion, I think that he meaning strategic, has hit the nails so squarely on the head that we have learned a little bit about David Anthony Burke that at least I didn't know. Maybe you're screaming at the screen going, yeah, Gavin, old news, but we haven't talked about it here on this channel, so we're going to talk about it. We've also got some news out of Fortnite. We've got some news out of David Anthony Burke's lawyers. Of course, we're going to do 3 questions tonight. We've got some updates in other cases as well. The case of the murder of Melody Buzzard. Her mom, Ashley Buzzard, is accused of killing her 9-year-old daughter. We've got an update there. We've got an update in the murder of Anna Kepner. Her stepbrother is accused in that murder. We've got a short update on Nick Reiner. And of course, we've got a little bit of good news too. We have learned we can't just leave a bad taste in our mouth. We got to have some good news too. So we are going to do that. Why don't we start? I was about to hit like the intro again. Like I hadn't already done that. Javi, you would have had a hard time in edit. But let's just go ahead and jump in to the first update. This coming out of Rolling Stone. And then we're going to get to Strategic Eyes. But this coming out of Rolling Stone. Join me, if you will, over on Acrobat. This came out 4 minutes before we started the live stream. Headline is DeForvito was, quote, last person to drive, close quote, Tesla before body found in trunk. This according to the district attorney. Dun, dun, dun. I honestly thought that it would be somebody else, but no. According to the DA, no. This written by Nancy Dillon in Rolling Stone. Link in the show notes. DeForvita appeared in court Wednesday, this very day that we are live streaming, as his lawyers asked that his preliminary hearing be delayed several weeks. Shocking. Just shocking. The evidentiary hearing that was set to begin Friday has been pushed to May 26th. Minutes after the hearing ended, prosecutors released a blockbuster evidence brief claiming that, quote, surveillance video and other evidence confirm defendant was last person to drive, close quote, his Tesla before the dismembered and decomposed remains of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas were found in the front trunk last September. The brief, obtained by Rolling Stone. You know what? Give me just a second on this. Let's go to LA County DA media release. Let me see if it's on the district attorney's website. I would love to be able to get the release itself. Let me text a couple people here real quick. Javi, don't worry. Javi is going to get this all edited out. All right, we'll continue with the story on Rolling Stone, but I'm just going to ask a couple of friends. I just asked a couple of friends. Okay, the brief obtained by Rolling Stone claims the platinum-selling singer born David Anthony Burke first met Rivas when she was 11 years old. This is something that has been reported by Steve Fisher. Prosecutors allege Burke began a sexual relationship with Rivas when she was 13, and that Riverside County officials contacted Burke in February 2024 and informed him of her age after she was reported missing by her family. Despite being contacted by law enforcement, Burke, quote, continued to pursue, close quote, Rivas, the filing states. He allegedly drove to her home in Lake Elsinore, south of Los Angeles, and, quote, paid a junior high school student in the victim's class $1,000 to give the victim a cell phone that he purchased so they could stay in contact, prosecutors say. What? We've seen that picture of the bag full of money, right? We've seen the picture of a bag full of money. Paid a junior high school student in the victim's class, in Celeste's class, $1,000 to give Celeste a cell phone that he purchased so they could stay in contact. Oh, that is a different level of evil, man. Oh, give me just a second. Give me a moment. My goodness. Look. We got multiple victims here, okay? Well, that has a double meaning. I am confident there are multiple victims like Celeste. Maybe not murdered, but definitely the rest. But how do you think that junior high school student feels right now, having taken $1,000 to deliver a cell phone to Celeste, and Celeste ends up dead? That kiddo is a victim in this. You have a predator come in and say, and oh my goodness. Okay, recovered texts between Burke and Rivas, quote, contain references to sex, pregnancy, abortion, and the use of the Plan B emergency contraceptive, the brief alleges. Burke and Rivas also exchanged, quote, explicit photographs documenting and corroborating their sexual relationship, it claims. Just getting an update on that. According to prosecutors, Burke broke up with Rivas in September 2024. What, she got too old for you? Though they continued to communicate. The new 9-page filing alleges Burke and Rivas, quote, engaged in a lengthy argument described in detail in their text messages, close quote, on the night before Rivas was last seen alive. Quote, the messages reveal the victim's jealousy over defendant's relationships with other women, or girls probably, as defendant led her to believe they had a future together. The brief reads, Rivas purportedly became, quote, extremely upset and threatened to disclose damaging information about her relationship with the defendant to end his career and destroy his life, prosecutors claim. Oh no, this next sentence. Burke sent an Uber to pick Rivas up from Lake Elsinore on April 23rd, 2025. The night she allegedly was murdered. Oh my goodness. She was 70 miles away, 80 miles away, and he paid an Uber to pick her up. Now listen. Dude, what if you were the Uber driver that delivered Celeste Rivas up to her murderer? Like, I'm sorry to put us in the shoes of all these victims that are also in orbit, right? But oh my goodness. Wow. Prosecutors allege Burke texted with Rivas during her ride and that the driver dropped the teen off at Burke's Hollywood Hills address. So she was in Lake Elsinore. She wasn't. This is something that Steve Fisher said in his interview that we watched. We watched a couple clips of. She wasn't really missing, right? everybody knew where she was. She was in and out. Still, I mean, like I don't want to minimize what was going on. She's 13, she's 14 years old. But she's in Lake Elsinore on April 23rd. He sends an Uber to pick her up. Guy in the Uber, or gal in the Uber is like, dude, I got an 80-mile trip. Sweet. Not knowing, hey, you're grabbing a victim and delivering her to her murderer. Oh. Prosecutors allege Burke texted with Rivas during the ride. Yeah, okay. Burke then sent text messages to Rivas at 10:30 p.m. inquiring where she was, the filing states. Oh, he's trying to cover it up. Hey, Celeste, where are you, girl? Hey, girl, where'd you go? Quote, the people contend this was part of defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder as she was already dead by this time, the filing reads. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career, and she had threatened very soon upon her arrival at his home, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. Look, if this is true as prosecutors allege, this is a different level of evil, man. This is a different level. Look, I did not think, maybe naively, that I would ever find a creepy crawly animal predator lowlife worse than Stefan Stearns. I just didn't think I could. I think Burke, if he did what prosecutors are saying he did, I think he did. I believe him. Then yeah, he is in the 18th sub basement of hell in terms of like just how low you can possibly get. He premeditated this. It wasn't that she showed up at the house, said, you know, you don't get back with me, then I'm going to tell everybody about me. And then in the heat of the moment, I mean, that's still premeditated murder. That's still murder with malice aforethought, right? But no, this is worse. This is worse. They text with one another. She expresses jealousy over other women, probably girls, not I doubt they were all women. Probably girls. Says, I am going to bust this wide open. I'm going to tell everybody. And he goes, nah, come on. I'll send you a car. Come on over. I'll send you a car. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh my goodness, ladies. Uh, look, I know that both men and women can be murderers. Both men and women can be violent. I understand that it can come from any part of the socioeconomic strata. I totally get it. But when you look at the data, most predators are men. Most victims are women. Actually, I'm more confident about the most predators are men part than most, because I think men kill men too. But okay. Either way, look, you just have to wrap your mind around this idea that any man, the most docile, the most teddy bearish, the most squishy, marshmallowy man you've ever met, given the right incentives, is capable of extreme violence. And you've got to protect yourself from that. Like I'm telling you, I'm telling you the truth as a dude. Okay, given the right circumstances, anybody is capable of murder. And if you're a little, like, she didn't have a chance. If you're a little 14-year-old girl going up against a 20-year-old dude, she wouldn't have a chance. She wouldn't. She just wouldn't have a chance. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Prosecutors allege Burke left his home at 11:30 p.m. and texted and called Rivas's phone asking where she was. Quote, again, these acts were calculated and planned to set up his defense, the filing states. Burke allegedly drove to Lake Cachuma in Santa Barbara County. Oh, hey, TMZ reported something accurate. The police are like, Santa Barbara, what? Okay. Burke allegedly drove to Lake Cachuma in Santa Barbara County, returning home the next morning to attend a radio interview. He later ordered a shovel from Home Depot to be delivered by Postmates and 2 chainsaws delivered by Amazon, the filing claims. No. Okay. I need a moment. Let me read that again. Burke allegedly drove to Lake Cachuma in Santa Barbara County, returning home the next morning to attend a radio interview, which he did and was like probably just as cool and calm and as relaxed as can be. This goes to, we're gonna see a little bit from Strategic about this double personality. Okay. He later ordered a shovel from Home Depot to be delivered by Postmates and 2 chainsaws delivered by Amazon, the filing claims. Quote, the circumstances and present state of discovery led us to conclude we need this additional time to review the discovery we just got or are about to get, Burke's defense lawyer Marilyn Bednarski said at the Wednesday afternoon hearing. Judge Charlene Olmedo asked Burke if he agreed to the postponement. Yes, Your Honor, he replied. Burke, 21, has been charged with first-degree murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the 14-year-old girl found dismembered and badly decomposed in the front trunk of his Tesla last September. Prosecutors also charged him, and we know this, but just as a rehash, prosecutors also charged him with continuous sexual SA of a child under the age of 14 and unlawful mutilation of human remains. They added special circumstance allegations of murder of a witness, murder for financial gain, and lying in wait, which makes him eligible for the DP, though prosecutors have not yet decided whether to pursue it. That's a weird use of parentheticals. I'm not seeing that used that way outside of the ending of a sentence that way, but okay. Need to check my AP guidelines there. Burke has pleaded not guilty. Last week, Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman revealed that Burke's iCloud account obtained by investigators contained what she described as a significant amount of CP. And of course, Burke's lawyers, Marilyn Bednarski, Blair Burke, pressed for an immediate preliminary hearing. Funny how they unpressed that. Judge Charlene Olmedo said it would begin this Friday, May 1st. That, I believe, has been postponed. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Whew. You know what, Wanda? I need some jazzy music, love. Let's get his face off of here. Let's cleanse our palate with a saltine cracker version of music. Okay. All right. Thank you, Wanda. That was way better. Let's see where everybody's at. I did see a super chat came in, and I don't want to miss that. Let me scroll back up. Thank you very much to Ms. OB54 pushing the right buttons for the super chat, getting us started. Thank you very, very much for that. I appreciate you so much. Diane is watching YouTube on the old iPad. Yeah, I got plenty of those. Boston is in the house. Ah, man. This thing keeps freezing up. Let's see. California is in the house. The Bay Area is here on an Apple TV big screen. Watching me on the big screen. Javier will do his magic for sure. Barb, don't you even worry about that. Yeah, and Mooney, he knew her age all along. He was told her age by, I'm sure he knew anyway. Come on, he's a predator, right? He knew her age. He wouldn't have been interested in her if she were a grown woman. That's his sickness. But Riverside Police told him her age too. Goodness sake. Oh. Laura Christine, all the way under the prison. Yeah, 17 sub floors down. He is low, man. He is low. Just call me Kim P. He sent a freaking Uber. Yep. Count Quackula. Hey, Count Quackula. That's great. Did you ever read Bunnicula as a child? Did anybody ever read Bunnicula? I think that was 5th grade for me. Anyway, yeah, she probably loved him. She probably did. She probably did. And finally realized she was being used. Whew. Wow. Yeah, Just Ducky, plea incoming. We've got Count Duckula and Just Ducky. You know what? If Count Duckula and Just Ducky got together, we might have another Duckula on our hands. So you be careful, Ducky. You be careful. Yeah, poor Uber tracking. How can he defend this? I will be interested to see what the defense is going to be. Long Island checking in. Thank you very much. Yes, Megan, Lake Elsinore is where her family lived. She was probably back in the area. Sherb Herb from Pascal's channel. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I've been following him for a while. I really like his stuff. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Venomous Vixen says, I'm late to the stream, but I wanted to let you know that Strategic is a current NYPD SVU detective. He's not former. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me on that. Awesome. Him and his team unearthed some stuff, guys. We're going to get to it. We're going to watch a clip, and I have links to his channel down below. Definitely go and check him out. Very, very good work. Oh my goodness, very good work. And I would expect no less from a professional like him. Let me keep on going. Anti-DTG50, have you listened to his lyrics? Listen, today was the very first time that I have consumed, and I haven't wanted to because I haven't wanted any money going his way, right? But I watched the video for Romantic Homicide. That was the very first time. And I watched a video that was supposedly live. It was like, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was sponsored by Amazon. And he's like in an empty room with a band. He's got a drummer, a bassist, a keyboard player, a guitarist. And it's supposedly live, but his voice is heavily processed. So I don't know how live it was, but anyway, that's a tangent that I could get on. Anyway, okay. What I want to say is I don't get kids today. I don't get the music today. You guys don't know what real music is. I feel that way about DeForvida's music. But I also understand I'm not in his target audience, and so he's going to do stuff that people like to consume. I thought it was crap. I really did. But he sold platinum selling. So there you have it. Yeah, the lyrics are disturbing. And the visuals are disturbing. He has a very, very dark um, uh, quality about him. Having said that, is that a red flag for, hey, they're going to commit murder? Probably not. I mean, listen, anime and manga, which is something that he consumed a lot of, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm some sort of expert. I don't. Like the last anime I consumed as a consumer was probably Robotech Macross City, which was what, 1984, 85, something like that. I am not in the target demographic. But I mean, my children are, and I don't think for a moment that they're going to go out and do these horrible, horrible things. I don't think that it's really a red flag at all, because the human beast, each one of us in our animal brain, is complex, and we like dark things. I mean, the entire true crime genre is kind of built on that, right? Our curiosity of darkness. But most of us, it's just curiosity. David's lyrics, man, they were hard to take. And the visuals, hard to take, knowing what happened to this poor young lady right here. So, yeah. Whew. Gavin, look at the Tanner Horner case, says Montana Sunshine. Which one is this one? Oh, this is Athena Strand. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have purposefully stayed away from that. I've been seeing Gisela covering it. Blah. Oh my goodness. Let me see what else. Sherry says, did he actually think he was going to get away with it? Her telling is a much lesser evil, in my opinion. Guess he thought murder was a better choice. I mean, why didn't he use the shovel? I think he probably used the chainsaws. Oh, that just killed me inside a little. I just lost a little of my soul saying that sentence. Oh, yeah, Brad, chainsaws? Yes. Yes, 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 indeed. Here's a Megan saying, I'm a taxi driver, you should be reporting them. Yeah, I drove cab. I told you guys this story yesterday. I drove cab years ago. Oh, it was a hard time in my life. I should say in our life, the life of my family. But I would never pick up a teenage child to take them 60, 70, 80 miles away. I would say, no, that one would be reported like that. That was part of our training, like a seedy Reno cab company. That was part of our training. And I'm not blaming the Uber driver. I mean, it's very easy to have the wool pulled over your eyes. Yeah, I'm going to see my dad. You know, yep. Yep. Let me keep going through here, make sure that we got everything. By the way, guys, I'm just going to tell you oh, Missouri's here. Thank you. Missouri is in the house. Thank you for stopping by. Ohio Palm Mom says, I love the Bunnicula books even as an adult. I haven't read one since like the 5th grade. Emmy is here. Ontario's here. We got Northern Ireland is in the house. Glad you're here. I'm just going to tell you, because of the content of this case, most of these videos do get demonetized by YouTube. And so I'm very grateful to you who, send me a PayPal or you back me on Patreon or you're a member here. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you to Spotify Premium Video viewers who on the Rewatch crew will watch it over on Spotify because they don't demonetize. Super grateful for all of you for doing this. Let's see. Dana says they found her blood in his garage. Please read New York Post article titled DeForvida used chainsaw to dismember Celeste Rivas in garage. Let's go to that one. Thank you for that tip. Let me find it real quick. Okay. I'm going to bring it up right here. We'll bring you to the website. Written by Jeremy Lewis and Brad Appleton, DeForvida used chainsaw to dismember Celeste Rivas in his garage, according to prosecutors. Disturbing new details have emerged of the horrifying way DeForvida groomed and eventually mutilated Celeste Rivas at the age of 14 with a chainsaw, according to prosecutors. Investigators say the singer, real name David Burke, ordered an Uber to deliver Rivas from her family home in Lake Elsinore to his Hollywood Hills home on the night of April 23rd, according to legal documents obtained by the California Post. He then allegedly stabbed her to death and stood by while she bled out, the documents state. The next day, Burke allegedly ordered a shovel from Home Depot from Postmates that was delivered to his home. On May 1st, he allegedly ordered 2 chainsaws from Amazon that were delivered to his home. And on May 5th, he allegedly ordered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool. Blue inflatable pool, prosecutors allege. That's those blue plastic pieces. He allegedly made the purchases under the fake name of Victoria Mendez, according to the documents. I can't wait to get my hands on these documents. When we get them, we'll go into the documents. From there, investigators say Burke, quote, took horrifying measures to destroy and discard the victim's body, close quote. Burke allegedly placed Rivas's body into the blue inflatable pool to prevent her blood from making a mess on his garage floor and used the chainsaw and perhaps other tools to cut off her limbs, according to the documents. Investigators claim they found plastic fragments embedded in Rivas's remains that matched those found on the pool purchased by Burke on Amazon. Burke allegedly amputated Rivas's left ring and pinky fingers because her ring finger contained a tattoo of his name. Those fingers were never recorded or never recovered, according to documents. When we get to why am I blinking? When we get to Strategic Eyes video, there might be another reason for that. Okay. Investigators served a search warrant at Burke's home in September 2025, where they allegedly discovered evidence consistent with the dismemberment of the victim's body in the inflatable pool, which contained multiple linear cuts. Several biological samples, which tested positive for blood, were collected within the garage area, according to the documents. Investigators say the DNA matched that of Rivas. The night before she was allegedly murdered, Burke and Rivas got into a lengthy argument over text message because she was jealous about Burke's relationships with other women. I'm guessing girls. She became extremely upset and threatened to disclose damning information about their relationship with the defendant to end his career and destroy his life, the documents state. There's also sickening details about how Burke and Rivas allegedly met when she was only 11 years old in January 2022. Investigators say the two then began a sexual relationship in November 2023 when she was 13 and Burke was 18. Rivas was allegedly reported missing by her family in February 2024, long before her alleged murder, and detectives discovered a phone number in her phone belonging to Burke, according to the documents. When detectives called Burke, he had stated he was unaware she was a minor and that she had been reported missing. Oh, well, goodness gracious me, I had no idea. Goodness. Underage, you say? Underage? Give me a break. You gave a phone and $1,000 to her classmate. My pearls. My pearls. Oh my goodness. Burke even allegedly drove to Lake Elsinore, where Rivas lived, and paid a student in her class $1,000 to give Rivas a phone Burke had purchased so they could continue to communicate. Text messages allegedly obtained by detectives suggest the two continued to have a sexual relationship, according to the investigators. Burke was in court Wednesday for a procedural hearing where Burke's attorney said she was concerned about the alleged evidence becoming public. Last week, it was revealed that a significant amount of CP was allegedly found on Burke's iPhone after conducting a search of the device. Investigators claim to have gathered 40 terabytes of data through a lengthy investigation. They also revealed they conducted a wiretap. Okay, and I think the rest we all know. Yeah, I think we all know this. Okay, thank you for pointing me in the direction of that article. I appreciate that. Let me see what else we got in terms of comments here. Angie says, wrong button, Gavin. Angie says, Gavin, Javi, can you teach me how to push buttons? Okay. Javi's got it, everybody. Okay, Angie says, Gavin, I agree. I'm over 50. Although I had to listen due to circumstances, I was simply appalling and far beyond the normal. Oh, talking about his music. Thank you for all of your dedication to the subject and child. Yeah, this is one that I'm glad that the police are telling us more. Penguin says, just because you asked, I actually don't watch you. I generally just listen as I'm working, sneaking peeks at the photos when you tell me there's something cool to see. Well, that's a good way to do it. I like it. Julie Francis, Gavin, great recognition. That blue plastic embedded in Celeste's body were from the inflatable pool that David had ordered online. Indeed. Great comments, guys. Okay. There are a couple of other things. Let me check my agenda here. No, we're going to go to strategic eyes. Okay. So this, I'm not going to introduce this video very well, but this is about a 12-minute, 45-second clip from True Crime with Strategic Eyes. He is linked in the description down below. It is a piece of a longer live stream that he did. Okay. I want to give a little introduction. It says on the screen right here is DeForvida's Itami original. Okay. So what I learned today by digging in and watching like content about and of Mr. Burke is that he claims that he has this alter ego called Itami. And Itami being the Japanese word, I guess, for what, danger or something like that. And in an interview, he talks about how he came up with this whole idea that led to romantic homicide, where he was some sort of investigator, a detective, but then something terrible happened and it split his personality in two. And now he has this serial killer personality that's out killing. And then the other half of him is still a detective, and he's the one who is investigating these serial crimes. And he's talking about it as if he has come up with this amazing idea, right? But it turns out that it is the plot line to a manga called MPD Psycho. And so I guess that's the background, right? David in all these interviews, I should say DeForvida, Mr. Burke in all of these interviews he talks, guys, I don't know. Listen. I don't know how to say this. This isn't an Uncle Gavin moment. I don't know how to say this, but listen. I went through a phase like this, okay, where I just thought that everything I said was brilliant. I was a younger person. Okay, so I think that this happens, but it happens especially when you start to get success and convince yourself that you are deserving of the success that you're getting, that you somehow are like this brilliant, amazing, talented sage. And watching these interviews with DeForvida, I'm like, dude, you are an Alexander Dumas, man. You just are a dill hole. And no, you're not all that creative, and you're working in pop music. All you have to know is the key and the what, four chords that you want to go around a circle in, and you don't even do that well. And your lyrics aren't really even that great. Like but he literally is describing in this moment of epiphany where he has this idea where something happens to him that is so traumatic that he splits in two, and this something traumatic that happens in MPD Psycho, as uncovered by Strategic and his team. I need to stop talking about it. It blew my mind. Okay, so huge shout out to Strategic Eyes. Amazing, really good work. And let's have a looky poo.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring this to your attention. There's an anime that David, in our opinion, may have been a fan of because he basically stole the Atami storyline from this anime. It's called
Itami, by the way, did I say this already? Is the name of his alter ego.
MPD Psycho, Multiple Personality Detective. This is a very popular anime. And as we bring you guys through this, you will see that every single thing that David did to Celeste was done in this anime. This anime that David plagiarized Atami from. It is too close to be perfect coincidence. This is going to be sick. So please do understand viewer discretion is advised.
Indeed.
So
guys.
MPD Psycho is
viewer discretion advised on this. His team, Strategic Eyes, did a very good job of like covering up things, but this particular manga is graphic. It's graphic. So listen, kiddos, if you're here, you shouldn't be here. Go away. And for you grown-ups, yeah, viewer discretion advised here, okay?
Japanese manga and live action series which follows a detective who develops multiple identities after his wife is murdered. MPD Psycho is known for its extreme and explicit violence and actualized gore. It's known for that. Something that David is also known to have enjoyed. The detective investigates elaborate and highly staged murders. In simplistic terms, it's later revealed that the detective himself is connected to the crimes and he is the perpetrator of the crimes he is investigating. He has a multiple personality. When his wife was taken from him, it made his mind split. One into a psychopathic serial killer and the other one into the detective.
And this is exactly how David described his epiphany as he was writing songs like Romantic Homicide. Like, what if I was split and I was some kind of detective and I was solving murders that I myself and my other personality, that I call Itami. It is exact. It's exact.
He's investigating his own crimes. This is similar to a story that David tells us about Atami. Atami means pain in Japan.
Pain. Yeah.
Big shout out to the Strategic Eyes research crew for doing the extensive research into this and putting this together. MPD Psycho Volume 1. I want you guys to pay close attention to the pictures that we're going to be showing you guys. Let me make them a little bit bigger. We've edited out body parts, etc., to make everything acceptable to YouTube. Let's keep going.
This is crazy.
This is conversation. He says somebody is a pain in the arse. Just kill him. Some girl you want to do bad stuff to, just grape her. The main character's wife.
Look at this. Look at this.
This is the main character's wife, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the state of the body. The protagonist's wife is abducted by a serial killer, mutilated, and sent to him by mail in a freezer-type shipping box. Her arms and legs are both removed.
I know this is graphic, guys, and this normally isn't my thing, but this is such good work by Strategic and his team. This is such good work. Legs and arms removed, mutilated. There's more, though. And I'm sorry that it has to stay this graphic, but there's more.
This experience causes the detective's personality to split, becoming a detective and a serial killer simultaneously. Let me bring your attention to Celeste's autopsy.
And I can bring this up.
Her arms and her legs have been severed.
Let me bring this up, right? Legs severed.
Let's go
here.
back to
Arms
MPD Detective,
here.
this popular Japanese anime and manga. Her arms and her legs have been separated, ladies and gentlemen. Celeste, the detective's wife. Let's keep going.
Okay, fingers. The fingers.
In MPD Psycho, the repeated removal of...
Guys, the fingers. We just read that prosecutors believed that the fingers were taken because one of them had a tattoo that said David's name on it. But check out the finger thing.
Left ring and pinky fingers is mainly symbolic and structural identity reduction. Fingers, especially on the left hand, are tied to identification and uniqueness. Removing them shows a person being reduced to partial, incomplete identity, fragmented self. The series heavily explores split or unstable identities and psychological fragmentation. The left side theme. The left side often represents distortion, instability, or altered perception in the series. Loss of connection, ring, pinky fingers symbolically relate to social ties and binding relationships. Their removal suggests severing connection to normal life or identity.
So in this manga, MPD Psycho, according to Strategic, the ring and pinky fingers on the left side were removed like throughout the story. And if we go to Celeste's autopsy report, her ring and pinky finger on her left hand were absent, never have been found. But I'll let Strategic keep going.
Relationship. Overall, the left
This is such good work, guys. Oh, I need to bring up the video. Sorry. This is such good work.
finger mutilations are used to show the victims are being treated as broken, deconstructed identities rather than whole people, matching the series' focus on psychological and bodily fragmentation. Ladies and gentlemen, in this anime, one of the victims' fingers on the left hand were removed. The same fingers that were removed from Celeste. I'll bring you back to Celeste's autopsy. Yet again, her left pinky and ring fingers have been removed. Let's keep going.
Oh, the eye.
Left eye. Left eye. In MPD Psycho, the barcodes over the left eye are part of the story's larger idea that certain people are artificially manipulated or programmed. What the left eye barcode means, identification cataloging the barcode functions such as a literal product code. It marks individuals as if they are items in a system, not independent people. Now, understand, people, this is anime. Anime can be so deep and profound because I'm also a fan of anime.
And graphic.
And so for a lot of you guys, you're watching this, you're listening to this, and you're like, what are they talking about? It's because the authors of these shows construct entire worlds. And as you read or you watch, whether you're watching it on the TV or you're watching print media, you're getting sucked into that world. I think David got sucked a little bit too deep in that world. Left eye, it marks individuals as if they are items in a system, not independent people. Why the left eye? The series repeatedly uses the left eye as a trigger point for personality shifts, a symbol of perception being altered.
And you remember that Celeste's left eye was missing. Don't know if that was because of decomposition or it was removed. We don't know.
Control versus autonomy. Barcoded characters often show detachment from normal motion, are more susceptible to external commands or influence. It reinforces the theme that identity is the story is constructed, not natural. Notice in this anime, the left eye. The left eye functions as a visual cue for identity shifts and personality switches in the protagonist, a symbol of control and manipulation, a hint that the characters' minds are not entirely their own. In this anime, the left eye is symbolic for somebody who is under the control of somebody else. And as you can see in this one, he opens up her eye and she has a barcode on her eye. The removal of that left eye, possible removal of that left eye from Celeste could have symbolized David retaining control of her. She belongs to him. She's his property. He disposed of her and he took her left eye with him, his trophy. Good questions. Did David create Atami after this manga? I think he did. Are his actions inspired by any of these dark themes? I think they are.
I would say so, yeah.
Let's go over to another anime that David was really big on, and this was also an anime. I didn't know about NPD Detective. I was not up to date on that story, but I'm a big fan of this anime that David watched. Now, this one came to our attention because somebody DM'd us during a live stream and said, hey, David had Celeste's fingers on a live stream or on a recording. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. So we immediately pulled it up. And immediately when I saw this picture here, I said, this is not Celeste's finger. From the shape of that finger, I knew right out the gate that that is a prop from a very popular anime / manga or manga called Jujutsu Kaisen. It's one of the biggest animes right now out. And I'm a big fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. I would definitely encourage you to go watch it. Who cares if David watched it? Good art is good art. Go watch Jujutsu Kaisen. And that finger is for a very powerful demon named Sakura. And the similarities between David, the detective, MPD detective, and Sakura and Yuji from Jujutsu Kaisen is that they all have split personalities. David has Atami. The MPD detective has his serial killer alternate personality that's murdering innocent people. And in Jujutsu Kaisen, the protagonist swallows a finger that belongs to a legendary demon, and that demon now shares his body as a split personality that at times can take over his body and sometimes commit atrocities. Why does David constantly become drawn to art that depicts people with multiple personalities? Why is David obsessed with psychopathic multiple personalities? Let's keep going. We know D4VD is familiar with the Japanese manga Jujutsu Kaisen. Is David inspired by any of these ideas? I don't know. Let's see. What is Yabutsume? Core meaning, traditionally associated with the Yakuza, it is a form of punishment or apology for wrongdoing. The person cuts off part of their own finger to show remorse, loyalty, and submission. Why do fingers matter? The pinky finger, little finger, is the most commonly removed. Historically, losing it weakens grip strength with a sword. This makes the person more independent on their group of protection, reinforcement, loyalty. Left hand specifically, the left hand is usually targeted first. If repeat offenses occur, more segments or additional fingers may be removed. About the ring finger, if both the pinky and ring fingers are missing, it usually implies repeated punishments rather than a separate symbolic meaning. It signals serious or multiple violations within the system. This is David holding the Sukuna finger. This person says, within the lore of the anime and manga Jujutsu Kaisen, the meaning or purpose of Ryomen Sukuna's fingers revolves around immortality, soul splitting, and absolute power. Let's keep going. In Jujutsu Kaisen, Ryomen Sukuna's fingers are special cursed objects that contain fragments of his soul and power. Also, Yuji Itadori is missing his left pinky and ring fingers. Associated with promises, loyalty in Japan, in the story, losing it reflects Yuji's lack of control and broken autonomy.
This is really good research.
Ladies and gentlemen,
they did such a good job here.
If you don't see a connection between MPD,
let it finish out,
detective,
look at that,
and Celeste, I don't know what to tell you.
It was really good work on strategic teams. Really good work by Strategic's team. Very good work. And it makes me wonder, because the more I look at this guy, Deforvita, the more I feel like, man, he's living in his own world. So, oh, man. Let's go to your comments. Cabling, girls are much more knowledgeable younger than boys are. She figured him out sooner than he thought. Yeah, possibly. That's the deal. Mischievous Dragon, I'm 9 minutes behind, but maybe he used the shovels to bury the chainsaws in the desert. Yeah, possibly. He probably should have buried her too. No, I'm glad he didn't, guys. I'm not saying he should have done that. I'm just like, dude. Gavin, I'm coming in late to the live and not sure if anyone mentioned it yet, but Strategic Eyes is active duty. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Gloria Soto, curious why you say his name like that. Because it's stupid, and I just really like that that Pascal says it that way. I think it's hilarious. So I'm like, Deforvita. It's so dumb. Listen. You can't use numbers as letters unless you're 7 or you're Prince. Those are the rules. I didn't make the rules. Weird Al made the rules. Those are the rules. See what else you guys are saying down here. Yeah, Strategic's voice is very good. I like it too. Itami means pain in Japanese. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. A couple of other... Wow, I've never heard this podcast before. What a horrifying description. Indeed. Scrolling through. Ducky has been a member for 6 months. Thank you, Ducky. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support. You are awesome. Let me real quick go back to my, what are we doing? A couple more pieces of news in all of this. Let's see. Fortnite. Let me bring you over here. Fortnite has announced refunds for in-game purchases related to Deforvita. Fortnite will be refunding players who made in-game purchases related to Deforvita. On Sunday, April 26th, Fortnite's X account shared an update after users expressed concerns over the popular game still offering items related to the 21-year-old rapper who was recently charged with murder in connection with 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death. Quote, "We hear the concerns," the statement began. "We have a bunch of changes we're rolling out over time. The first one will be available on Tuesday the 28th, when anyone who purchased one of these items will be able to get an immediate self-service refund. And right now, players who request refunds for Deforvita cosmetics via player support can be refunded," the post concluded. So that's a good thing. I brought that up because somebody brought that up in the live chat, wondering, my opinion on that. Yeah, they should definitely be refunded. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring to you about this is that his lawyers are asking that he be allowed to wear street clothes in court. Now, why would they ask that? Let me tell you, here's the deal. People who are incarcerated and come to court for their different proceedings, hearings, and so forth are typically dressed in the garb of the jail in which they reside. This because there's what is the word? There's no prejudicing the court. The court knows that they are in jail. They're being held. It knows the bond status. They set the bond status. There's nothing prejudicial about somebody coming to court in an orange jumpsuit, for example, for a hearing. Now, where that changes is when you're in front of a jury. When you're in front of a jury, you are typically dressed in street clothes, usually dressed for the occasion, right? Usually a coat, a tie, something like that. I mean, I've seen guys like in plaid and stuff like, but they want to dress up as to not prejudice the jury against them. Oh, he's in jail on this, he must be guilty, is what they're trying to avoid, that whole idea. But I think what is happening with Deforvita here is that he is trying to keep his image in the public intact. He doesn't want pictures of himself getting out in prison or jail garb. And I think that the defense would argue, hey, we don't want to prejudice our potential jurors. Our jury pool is going to be selected from people that are watching this. So can we please put him in regular clothes? And the judge said, nay, nay. So this written by Eric Leonard for NBCLA. The singer known as Deforvita asked the judge presiding over his murder case for special orders to freshen his appearance before he's back in court for a preliminary hearing. Deforvita, David, known legally as David A. Burke, is scheduled to appear at a hearing Wednesday and a possible preliminary hearing Friday on charges he SA'd, murdered, and dismembered 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose remains were found inside his Tesla sedan last September. Burke has pleaded not guilty and is being held with no bail. In court filings last week, Burke's defense attorneys asked the judge to allow Burke to appear in, quote, dress pants and a, quote, button-down shirt for the Friday hearing, which was denied, meaning he'll likely be in jail clothes. Of course, the Friday hearing has been pushed back now. LA Superior Court Judge Charmaine F. Olmedo, however, approved an order Monday directing the LA County Sheriff's Department to provide Burke with a haircut prior to the May 1st hearing. That also is standard procedure. He needs a haircut. Get him a haircut, right? And then, it says a lot of other stuff that we already know, some background on it. So, they pushed back the preliminary hearing, yada, yada, yada. So he wanted to be glowed up just a little bit. He got his haircut. He's not going to get his clothing. And that's pretty standard. I don't think there's anything prejudicial or non-prejudicial about what Judge Olmedo ruled there. Let me go over to your comments. Let's see. Ritsukami says, Gavin, someone told Pascal today that you say the name like that now, and he was very flattered. In case you, I did miss that. Pascal, listen, I think that he coined it. It belongs to him, and I give him all the credit. I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Uh, Let's see. Frida People says, Gavin, a correction. Multiple personality disorder is no longer called that. It's called dissociative identity disorder, and it is not a psychopathology. It is a brain injury caused by extreme trauma. Okay. Nevertheless, the manga uses MPD, multiple personality disorder detective, as its title. But thank you for that. See if there's anything else here. ACJD30BQ says, Gavin, what people let into their minds, ears, and eyes matter. Although people think they can handle questionable material, it changes the brain. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm agnostic on this. I don't know if I agree or disagree. I grew up watching G.I. Joe where everybody survived. They'd shoot a plane out of the air and there's always parachutes. Nobody ever died, anything like that. And of course, that it is not the way kids are seeing things now. Do I? And there's lots like I was playing Duck Hunt as a video game with guns when I was a kiddo, and of course now they're way, way, way more violent. Do we live in a more violent world? And is it causal or is it coincidental? I don't know. So I guess I'm agnostic on it. I do want to keep our kids safe from this kind of stuff as long as possible. But I mean, kids have been playing war games for time in memoriam, right? It's just, is it time in memoriam or time in memorial? I think it's in memorial. I can't remember. Forever, we've been playing death games as children. So I don't know. I guess I'm agnostic about it, but I appreciate the comment. Jackie says, you maybe should bring out Uncle Gavin and talk to the people about what their kids watch on their devices. A lot of teenagers and young adults are really into anime. Sorry for misspelled word. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Uncle Gavin, I think is agnostic on this. I'm not sure. There was one that was really violent when I was a kid. It was later. Let me think about it. I watched it. Give me a second. This is when I was like 15, 16. 90s anime motorcycles. What was that called? Akira? Was it called Akira? Yeah, it was called Akira. 1988. So I would have been 12 for most of that year, but I don't think I saw it until I was 16 or 17 years old. But it was pretty darn violent. I don't know. I think Uncle Gavin is agnostic about it. Ivan, one love. Gavin should go to this trial and take notes to report. I would love, if this goes to trial, I would love to be in the courtroom on this. I really would. Yes, indeed. Let's see, it just refreshed. Give me a second. Cabling says he needs to be wearing the jail wear. Yeah, not to his trial, though. Not to his trial. But I think Judge Olmedo ruled responsibly on this one. Court Lurker says, I think he should be called David Burke, the name he so doesn't want to be known as. Just my opinion. Maybe I should say Mr. Burke. City Mystic Luck says, Gavin Pascal was so happy to see it that way on his show today. Pretty funny. Coffee time for D. They let Corey R dress in clothes, but they won't let him. I think that either needs to be an all or nothing. I don't think that needs to be state to state. I think it needs to be everywhere. Okay. That's a fair enough opinion. Did he shave the gross facial hair? I don't know. I haven't seen any pictures. And then Gloria says, deformita. It blows my mind how many people knew about their relationship, said nothing. I wonder who suggested it. I feel like someone suggested it to keep him out of hot water. Yeah, the amount of people that knew is going to be, there will be probably dozens of people that knew about the relationship between Mr. Burke and Miss Rivas. It's just, and how many of them just kind of looked the other way, right? Dana says that TMZ released the full document on their website. Thank you, Dana. Let me come over here. Let me mute the tab. They sure did. They sure did. Should we read this? Let's read it. We've got time. And thank you, Dana. It's all right. Give me a second to just get this kind of up and going. And yeah, all right. All right, so this is courtesy of TMZ. This is filed in the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Los Angeles. This is the People's Brief regarding preliminary hearing evidence. And special thanks to TMZ for putting it out there. Okay, to the Honorable Judge Charlene Olmeda of the above titled court, not entitled court, titled court, and to defendant and his counsel of record, the people submit the following brief to provide a roadmap for the evidence the people intend to introduce at the preliminary hearing scheduled to begin May 1st, 2026. We know this has been kicked down the road. Background facts. The dismembered body of 14-year-old Celeste R., the victim, was discovered in the front trunk of defendant's Tesla Model X on September 8th, 2025. The vehicle had been towed 3 days prior from 1405 Bluebird Avenue, which was parked approximately 400 feet from defendant's home at 1368 Dehaney Place in the Hollywood Hills. Surveillance video and other evidence confirmed defendant was the last person to drive the vehicle on January 29th, 2025, before he left Los Angeles on a concert tour. Last person to drive it. Zoom up. On September 8th, the manager of the tow yard where the Tesla had been impounded noted the strong smell of decay and the presence of flies coming from the vehicle. He notified the LAPD Hollywood auto detectives, who determined the Tesla was registered to defendant through departmental resources. At the tow yard, LAPD detectives opened the Tesla's front storage compartment and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects. Inside the bag, they discovered a severely decomposed head and torso. A plastic garbage bag beneath the black cadaver bag contained the dismembered arms and legs. However, the victim's ring and pinky fingers on her left hand, remembering strategic eyes, had been amputated and were not found in the Tesla. On September 16th, 2025, the LA County Medical Examiner's Department positively identified the body from dental records as belonging to Celeste. Pursuant to their investigation, LAPD robbery homicide detectives determined the victim and defendant met in January 2022 when she was 11 years old. They began a sexual relationship in November 2023 when the victim was just 13 years old and the defendant was 18. Detectives learned the victim had been reported missing to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department by her family, who live in Lake Elsinore, in February and April 2024. RCSD telephonically contacted defendant on February 17, 2024, after they identified a phone number in the victim's phone records that belonged to him. During the call, Defendant claimed he had spoken to the victim last on February 13th or 14th, 2024, but stated he was unaware she was a minor or that she had been reported missing. Bullpucky. RCSD advised him that the LA Sheriff's Department deputies would be coming to his home. On that day, defendant was living at 804 North Dehaney Place in West Hollywood. Sheriff's Department requested that the LA Sheriff's Department conduct a welfare check at defendant's home. The LA Sheriff's Department deputies went to the defendant's home that night at 8:15 p.m. and informed him the victim was a 13-year-old runaway. Defendant again claimed he was unaware she was a minor, and he had only met the victim once in person in November 2023. However, defendant showed deputies a yearbook photo of the victim he had on his cell phone. Defendant showed deputies a yearbook photo of the victim that he had on his cell phone? Although he claimed to be unaware of where the victim was at the time, she returned home 2 days later. Shocking how that happens. Despite being informed by law enforcement the victim was only 13, defendant continued to pursue her. After the victim returned home in February 2024, her parents took her cell phone away. Defendant drove to Lake Elsinore and paid a junior high school student in the victim's class $1,000 to give the victim a cell phone defendant purchased so they could stay in contact. Sick, man. That is sick. Throughout 2024, that infuriates me. Throughout 2024, the victim spent a significant amount of time with defendant, including summer weekends at his home in the Hollywood Hills and traveling with him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas to meet his family. How did he get her to London? Are we talking like London, Arkansas, or are we talking about the United Kingdom? How does that happen? Honestly, how does that happen? Guys, I have taken minors, my children, with me on international travel. Now, granted, not flying a private plane or anything, but the I guess the extra skepticism that is given to you when you are just like a grown man and you've got a minor child, especially if that minor child is a girl, they give you extra attention. Like, as they should. How does a 18, 19-year-old man take a 13-year-old woman to London and not raise alarm bells? I mean, he had to work with, I can't imagine that okay, statistically speaking, she wouldn't have had a passport. There's not much of that. Maybe she did, but I mean, how many minors in the United States have passports? I know it's different in different parts of the world. Like, I know that when you live in Europe, for example, having a minor with a passport is typical. But in the United States, like, the country is so vast that like we can travel throughout our entire country, and it's way bigger than going to like all of Europe, all of Western Europe, for example, right? So most of us, I didn't get my first passport till I was 18, and our children who I've taken on international trips, I mean, they were the only ones they knew that had passports. So I don't. Was it because Celeste and her family are of Latino America heritage, and maybe they would go down? I think they're from Mexico, right? Their family's from Mexico, so maybe they had I don't know, but dang, taking her to London, the chutzpah, dude. Okay. Text exchanges between the victim and defendant contain references to sex, pregnancy, abortion, and the use of Plan B emergency contraceptive. Sick. There are also explicit photographs documenting and corroborating their sexual relationship. Again, so gross. Just sick. In November 2024, defendant and the victim broke up, although they continued to communicate, and text messages suggest they also continued to have sexual relations. April 23rd, 2025 is the likely date of the victim's death and when all her cellular activity ceased. The night prior, April 22nd, 2025, defendant and the victim engaged in a lengthy argument described in detail in their text messages. The messages reveal the victim's jealousy over defendant's relationships with other women. Again, Gavin's inserting girls here. I doubt they were all women. As defendant led her to believe they had a future together, she became extremely upset and threatened to disclose damaging information about her relationship with defendant to end his career and destroy his life. Defendant's first studio album was due to be released on April 25th, 2025. He had an emerging multi-million-dollar career already in progress. He also had multiple product endorsements, which were highly profitable. At approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 23rd, defendant sent an Uber to transport the victim from her Lake Elsinore home to his residence. Again, that's like 70, 80 miles. They communicated before and during her Uber ride, which dropped her off at the defendant's Hollywood Hills home at 10:10 p.m. Yeah, so like that's an hour and a half Uber drive. At approximately 10:30 p.m., defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. Okay, so we've got a 20-minute kill window. 10:10 p.m. approximately to approximately 10:30 p.m. The people contend this was part of defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder as she was already dead by this time. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career, and as she had threatened, very soon after her arrival at his home, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. At no time did he call law enforcement or 911 to take her to an emergency room or attempt to save her life. Of course not. Despite knowing she was dead and her family was trying to find her, the evidence will show defendant lied and claimed he didn't know where she was. In fact, defendant drove to Santa Barbara County immediately after the victim died, attempting to dispose of her property and destroy evidence. Oh, hey guys, that says attempting to dispose of her property. Does that mean that he failed in his attempt? Did they find her property? At approximately 11:30 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025, he drove away from his home as he texted and called the victim's phone asking where she was. Again, these were acts calculated and planned to set up his defense within a very short timeline after the victim's vicious murder. Defendant drove his Tesla north on the 101 freeway to San Marcos Pass Road, State Route 154, near Lake Cachuma in Santa Barbara County. He returned home early the following morning on April 24th, 2025, before going to a radio interview for the release of his album that week. He sent 2 additional texts to the victim's phone that day, which obviously went unanswered because she was already dead. After April 26, 2025, defendant never attempted to contact her again. You know what I find extremely stupid? And I'm so grateful for his stupidity. This is reminding me of the give me a second. Let me go to the case page. The Rebecca Byler case. This is reminding me of the Rebecca Byler case for this very reason. Okay. Rebecca Byler was an Amish woman, a mother of 2, pregnant with her third, who had her throat cut in Spartansburg, Pennsylvania, outside of Titusville, Pennsylvania. Her killer, who was convicted, well, he pleaded guilty to it. A guy named Sean Cranston. I'll show you a picture of him here real quick. This is Mr. Cranston. He was driving a car that he had financed, and it kind of felt like he had financed through a hard money lender. Oh, give me just a second here. Okay. So he drove a car that was financed and didn't know it, but a GPS tracker was in his car by the finance company. Maybe he did know it. Maybe he probably signed off on the contract. But listen, if you were going somewhere as a murderer, you just stabbed this beautiful young woman to death. She bled out. You put her in a pool in your garage where you dismembered her, right? Maybe you didn't do that on that night, but anyway, you have murdered this girl. And now you're going to go try to dispose of her property. Doing it in a Tesla is the dumbest thing in the history of ever. That thing is a rolling computer. Everything you do in that car is recorded. Everything you do in that car is recorded. There is so much data that as a Tesla driver, you agree to upload to Tesla. And so when the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office began putting out their subpoenas and their warrants, guess who was on that list? Tesla. And boy, did I bet 10 terabytes of data of their 40 came from Tesla. It's not a little bit. Okay. Let's go back to this. Tellingly, and let me just check my text here real quick. Yeah, okay. Tellingly, defendants subsequently purchased tools, and remember that this is for the preliminary hearing, so this isn't the prosecution's full case. This is just the prosecution saying, this is our plan that we're going to put out in the preliminary hearing to establish probable cause. They're going to present it to Judge Olmedo, and Judge Olmedo is going to decide if, after the presentation, after the defense has had the opportunity to question, police officers, investigators, and witnesses and so forth, if there's probable cause. So they're just going to be presenting enough to establish probable cause. It's not the full case. Of course, you guys know that because you're awesome. But anyway, tellingly, defendant subsequently purchased tools to carry out his plot to dismember and dispose of the victim's body. On April 24th, defendant ordered a shovel from Home Depot that was delivered to his home from Postmates. On May 1st, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws to his home. On May 5th, defendant ordered and Amazon subsequently delivered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool to his home. He made these purchases under the fake name Victoria Mendez. Yeah, okay. I'm going to throw the police off on this one because I'm a criminal mastermind. I'm going to have it delivered to my home, but it's going to be ordered by a fictitious person named Victoria Mendez. Oh my goodness. What a dill hole. Dill hole mugs, by the way, are available on gavinfish.com. On May 8th, defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m. He returned to the area again on May 31st. This is an isolated site off of State Route 154 where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January 2026. Of course they found it. Additionally, on July 7th, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered a quote burn cage. Ooh, Steve Fisher talked about this. A burn cage to his home under the same fake name as part of his plan to incinerate evidence. Moreover, defendant took horrifying measures to destroy and discard the victim's body. After placing her body into the blue inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor, defendant used a chainsaw and perhaps other tools to cut off her limbs. Small blue plastic fragments were found embedded in the victim's remains, which were collected by the LA County Medical Examiner's Department. The fragments were analyzed by the LAPD's Forensic Science Division Trace Analysis Unit. An expert was able to make a physical fit match from the blue fragments to the blue inflatable pool purchased by defendant. So they not only matched, hey, this is the same color. Hey, this is the same kind of plastic. This possibly could be. No, they physically were able to put those fragments and fit them into the pool. A physical fit. A physical fit match. Okay. In order to distance himself from the victim, he amputated her left ring and pinky fingers because her ring finger contained a tattoo of his name. Her fingers have not been recovered. I am with Strategic on this one. I don't think it was because of that. I think it was because of his brain. Defendant then placed her head and torso into the cadaver bag he purchased. He placed her limbs into a garbage bag, which he deposited into his front trunk, laying the cadaver bag on top. For several weeks, oh my goodness, possibly months, defendant left the victim's body to decompose inside his Tesla. Why would you do that? I mean, glad he did because it got him caught, but what? He lied to friends, business associates, and others who noticed the strong smell. Oh, what? Let's start that one over. He lied to friends, business associates, and others who noticed the strong smell of decay in and around his home and vehicle. Guys, oh my goodness. Listen. If you're in a city, say Los Angeles, the rules are different for the country, right? But okay, you're in a city and you go over to your friend's house. He's a famous guy who, I don't know, hangs out with prepubescent girls. And there's the smell of decay, and you recognize it because of, I don't know, you've been camping before, or you've smelled a deer dead on the highway or whatever, and you're like, that's definitely decay. Call the po-po, for crying out loud. What are you doing? Let me reread this. He lied to friends, business associates, and others. That means they have witnesses who noticed the strong smell of decay in and around his home and vehicle. Before leaving on his concert tour at the end of July, he's parked his Tesla on the street around the corner from his home. Was he just trying to air out his house? Is that how stupid this kid is? Okay, LAPD served a search warrant at defendant's home at 1368 Doheny Place on September 17th, after the victim was identified by the LA County Medical Examiner on September 16th. Inside the garage, detectives discovered evidence consistent with the dismemberment of the victim's body in the inflatable pool, which contained multiple linear cuts. Several biological samples which tested positive for blood were collected within the garage area. DNA analysis determined that various samples matched the victim's unique genetic profile. On December 9th, the medical examiner ruled the victim's death a homicide caused by two penetrating injuries to the torso. On January 17th, the victim's U.S. passport card, she did have a passport, okay, was found by a Caltrans worker off of where? You guessed it, State Route 154 in Santa Barbara County. What an idiot. Oh my goodness. Okay, section 2, the evidence. The people will present the following evidence at the preliminary hearing, including but not limited to item number 1, the description of photographs depicting the victim naked as well as while she was engaged with defendant in sexual activity when she was 13. They have photographs of it. As this evidence constitutes CSAM, the photographs themselves will not be presented. Good. While all possible charges that could be proven were not filed, the CSAM is proof of their ongoing sexual relationship while the victim was 13 and 14 years old. I bet it started before that. This is just the proof they have. Okay. Item number 2. Numerous text messages between defendant and the victim evidencing their sexual relationship, pregnancy, abortion, and use of Plan B emergency contraception. Guys, I'm definitely getting demonetized on this. But we're just gonna keep going. Messages through March 2025 prove defendant continued to manipulate the victim. Good on him for saying that. That's exactly what he was doing. As she messaged, quote, "All we do is have sex and just hang out. Man, I want more than that for myself," close quote. These messages were obtained from defendant's iCloud data. Oh my goodness, I love good investigators. Good detectives. Love you guys and gals. Thank you very much. Because this is not easy to see, guys. These investigators, the detectives, the forensics folks, the prosecutors, they don't get to unsee the stuff that they see. Item number 3. Defendant's cellular activity and communications derived from defendant's iPhone and Tesla, which demonstrate defendant's activities from April 22nd, 2025 through April 24th, 2025, including a trip to Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night after the victim arrived at his Hollywood Hills home. She didn't have enough time to react, man. Hey, come on in, Celeste. Stabby, stabby. Bang. Done. Next item. Surveillance video of defendant driving his Tesla on July 29th, 2025 for the last time before parking the vehicle and leaving on tour at the end of July. Wow. Item number 5, DNA evidence developed from blood stains collected from defendant's garage which matched the victim's genetic profile. 6, proof of defendant's Amazon purchases and deliveries to his residence, including 2 chainsaws, a body bag, an inflatable pool, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a burn cage after April 24th. 7, proof of defendant's purchase and delivery from Postmates of a shovel from Home Depot to his home on April 24th, 2025. Uber records. Next item. Uber records showing defendant's transaction where he ordered an Uber to pick up the victim from her Lake Elsinore home and transport her to his residence the night of April 23rd. Next item. Proof of defendant's lucrative career as a singer and songwriter prior to April 23rd. Defendant had an album release party on the night of the 24th. Before embarking on an international tour in late July 25. And I'm sure he acted perfectly normal. Last one was text message exchanges between defendant and the victim on April 22nd and April 23rd, where the victim threatened to expose defendant and destroy his career. Conclusion. This brief is filed to assist the court in understanding the scope and relevance of evidence the prosecution intends to present at the preliminary hearing. The prosecution has issued numerous subpoenas and is prepared to proceed with the preliminary hearing. The defense has had multiple opportunities to request a continuance, but has not done so. Furthermore, California Penal Code 1050 requires the defense to provide at least 2 court days' notice to request a continuance. In view of the limited scope of evidence to be presented at the preliminary hearing detailed in this brief, there should be no substantial impediment to moving forward with the hearing as scheduled. Very interesting. But my understanding is that the hearing was, let me bring up, it was delayed. So Deforvita preliminary hearing schedule. Let me just look it up here real quick. Yeah, according to KTLA, it was postponed until May 26th. Man, I'm glad that thank you, TMZ, for publishing that. And thank you to my friends who are obtaining it through official channels. You guys are all awesome. Thanks for doing that. And when I get the official one, I will share it on Patreon. Okay. Hopefully I'll do that tonight. Let me go over to, well, we've gotten a few super chats. Thank you guys for taking care of me. Let's see. Eve Loves God says, sorry they demonetized. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And then One Lucky Girl. It's come on up. There we go. Gave me a super chat. Thank you for doing that. And then Jude the Tiger. Gavin, thank you for covering this story. So many young women are at risk. Yeah, they are, man. I hope someone learns from this incredibly sad story. And that is exactly why I hope that more of this information will continue to come out. That we get more. We don't want to endanger the case against Mr. Vida. We definitely want Mr. Burke. We definitely want this to be a successful prosecution and a fair and good prosecution, vigorously defended by competent attorneys. But we want all of the rest of us to learn from this, right? We want kiddos in junior high to say, remember what happened to Celeste Rivas? We want that for sure. Thanks, Jude the Tiger. Thank you to Caroline Taterville for the super chat. Thank you very, very much. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Give me just a second to scroll up. Okay. It refreshed, so I'm probably going to miss out on some scary people for sure. Yes, indeed. Heather agrees with me 100%. Thanks, Heather. Keep on scrollifying here. Ivan, one love. Gavin, I know you're against him, but I really hope he gets prison justice. I am against prison justice, but I understand the sentiment. I get it. Kentucky Grammy says, sounds like in his sick mind, he wanted to keep everything close like a souvenir, even her body. Yeah, so weird that he took opportunities to get rid of her identification, her passport card, those things that we know about, or her phone, but didn't get rid of her body. It is strange, for sure. Tiff Knox, thank you very much for the super chat. Deeply appreciate you. Let's see a couple more. If there are any more that came in. Any more chats that you guys wanted to see? Doesn't look like it. Let's see, guys. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark, but I don't want to. I want to continue with our plan. Okay, I want to continue with our plan. Just because I don't know, we just like to do that. But let me take a look at where we are in this. Make sure that we've done the refunds thing, we've done the glow up thing, we did Strategic Eyes video, we did the Rolling Stone article. We've now read the brief filed by the prosecution. So I guess that is all for Celeste's case tonight. But fear not, my friends. We have a few more true crime headlines to get to, including some updates in the Melody Buzzard case, the Anna Kepner case, the Rob and Michelle Reiner case. And we have some good news to get to. But before we do, let's check out your questions. It's 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Okie dokie. In this segment, guys, I answer your questions that you send in to me to the email address that you can see on the screen, 3questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled out, 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com. I promise that I will answer all of your questions without dodging them. everything's on the table, which also means that nothing's off of the table, however you want to say it. The only dealio is I get to choose the order in which I do it. But please send in your questions to 3questions@gavinfish.com. Question number 1 tonight comes from Maria. She wants a little inside baseball. Is there a way for content creators to contact each other through YouTube? Some creators don't share an email address, so I wonder how they connect. Seems hard to do it via comment section. Yeah, Ria, like there are people that I'm not in contact with. I'm not in contact with Pascal. I'm not in contact with Strategic Eyes. Typically, it's just a small community. And so when you get to a point in your channel, as you're building your channel, and it takes a while. I mean, I've been doing this 6 years and I'm still just kind of a small channel, right? But as you build your channel, you start to get people start to notice you and they start to reach out to you. The first people that start to reach out to you are actually producers from like Court TV and News Nation and Fox News and stuff like that. Documentary filmmakers, they reach out to you. But then eventually you just, someone reaches out that is in the genre. In my case, I think my first one was probably like Stephanie Harlow or maybe Sherilyn Dale is one of the early ones, right? And then because you have same interests and you're working together on things, and the work that you're doing together on things might just be like a few minutes. Yeah, I'm happy to help you. Yeah, I'm happy to give you that clip, that sort of stuff. Because you don't want to be one of those people that, doesn't play well with others. And then you start to build that circle, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you're just in touch with people. But like I said, I'm not in touch with. So no, the answer to your question is there isn't a way that YouTube provides us to get in touch with one another as content creators. It'd be kind of cool to create some kind of association with different creators, where in your genre you could get in touch with people and you could collaborate. In fact, that might be a fun app to create, but YouTube doesn't provide that. And yeah, so sometimes we do it through the comment section. Like I think the first time Annie Elise reached out to me, it was in a comment. I responded to the comment. We got in touch. That happens sometimes. But little inside baseball. But yeah, just so you know, if you guys ever want to start a channel, you're working on starting a channel. The thing is, just don't have a lot of time in my day. I basically work 2 jobs. Um, I want to be helpful because I wish somebody was helpful to me in the beginning. But I also think that going through the hard stuff over the first couple of years is super important. There shouldn't be a shortcut. The You should have to take the hard way through. But I also want to be helpful. I don't know. Maybe we open a Discord channel or something like that on that. I don't know. You guys tell me if that's something that you guys are interested in. The next question came from Debbie. If your personality had a warning, what would it be? My personality. I should have asked Kimberly this. If my personality had a warning, what would it be? Maybe spends too much money. Caution. Spends like a drunken sailor. Something like that. I do spend too much money. And then question number 3, Rachel says, Gavin, what is your earliest memory? I'm getting several memory questions. One of the questions that came in is, what is your most significant memory? And I don't want to share that because, no, I think it was, what was your most treasured memory? And I treasure it. So I don't think that I'm going to share that. But by my earliest memory, it's hard to say because, actually, I have to repent because I said I would answer questions and not dodge them. So eventually I'm going to have to get to that treasured memory question. Dang it. Covenants. Promises. That's okay. We'll figure it out. Earliest memory, it's hard to say because sometimes you just tell the stories or hear the stories so often that you think it's a memory, but I'm pretty sure Like, I definitely have memories from when I was 3 because I remember chicken pox. I remember going over to my friend's house who had chicken pox so that I could get chicken pox. Um, I re I remember standing at the front window of my family's home waiting for my older siblings to come home from school. So, and that was before my younger sister was born, so I would have been 3. I remember playing on the kitchen floor in the same house and being really sad because I had a little plastic toy wagon that I left near the heating vent. This was in Utah, so they all have the heater vents on the floor. When we moved to California, it was weird to see everything in the ceiling, but and that little thing melted. I came back to a melted toy, and I was really sad. Remember that? I remember in that same place, I saw King Kong on a black and white TV in my dad's study in that same place. I remember opening up my dad's study closet and seeing his blue, like his dress blue uniform. And I don't remember seeing it in any other place. I think he probably got rid of it when we moved away from that house. So I've got lots of memories from when I was 3. I remember when my younger sister was born, I had just turned 4. Um, I remember the back deck. We had a back deck of that house that had like an AstroTurf um, covering on it, like the old school, really bad AstroTurf. And we would lay on the deck and we would look at satellites in the sky. My dad was always into space and aviation. I remember making mud pies and like um, hot chocolate, by putting mud in a cup underneath that same deck. I remember a neighbor dad throwing me in the air at a barbecue in that backyard. I've got lots of memories from then. I remember when we moved away from that house, it was not quite late enough in the season for our fruit trees to have ripe fruit, but they did have fruit on them. And I was sitting in the middle of the bench seat of my grandpa's truck, Old Blue, between grandpa and dad, and we had our belongings in, or some of them, in the bed of the truck, and we were driving away. My parents lost that home, and we were moving into the basement at grandpa and grandma's. Very hard time for my parents, I'm sure. Magical time for me. I loved living at grandma and grandpa's house. But I was sad because we had planted the fruit trees and I had never had a piece of fruit from the tree. And dad said, "Why don't you go pick something off of there?" And I picked a green peach that I bit into, and it was disgusting as we drove away from that house. Lots of early memories. And I love it when you guys answer these questions as well. Those are our 3 questions. Is there a way for content creators to reach each other? I guess the answer I'm looking for you guys on this one is I want to be helpful to anybody wanting to create a channel, but there's got to be a way to do it where there's not tons of time commitment. If you guys are interested in something like that, a Slack channel or Discord or something like that, let me know. And then I'd love to hear what your warning labels are, and I'd love to hear your earliest memories. And while you are typing those in for me to read in our final segment, let's check out what else is happening in the world of True Crime's headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. In the case against Ashley Buzzard, who is accused of killing her 9-year-old daughter, Melody Buzzard, this from the Lompoc Record. Hearing continued in Buzzard case as discovery dispute emerges, written by Lisa Andre. A hearing in the murder case against Ashley Lynn Buzzard was continued Wednesday morning today in Santa Barbara County Superior Court in Lompoc as attorneys argued over access to forensic evidence ahead of a preliminary hearing. Prelim hearing still hasn't happened here. Buzzard 40 appeared in court for the scheduled hearing where her defense attorney said a large volume of recently received discovery materials had not yet been fully reviewed by forensic experts. The defense argued additional underlying data tied to prosecution evidence is needed to adequately prepare. Prosecutors disputed the timing and scope of the request, stating they have already provided materials beyond their required obligations and asked the court for additional time to respond to new legal arguments raised during the hearing. Judge Stephen Dunkel continued the motion to May 7th at 1:30 to allow both sides to clarify what evidence has been disclosed and what they may still be outstanding. No preliminary hearing date was set. Buzzard waived time through July, allowing the case to proceed beyond statutory timelines. So that's what's going on there. In the Anna Kepner case, the Florida teen who was allegedly murdered by her stepbrother aboard a Carnival cruise, we get this update from, is it Daisha Johnson from WESH? The murder trial for the teen accused of killing his stepsister on a cruise ship last year will happen in June, according to court records. Guys, don't get excited. It's not going to happen in June. They just have to schedule these things. The criminal jury trial proceedings and jury selection are expected to begin on June 1st at the Wilkie D. Ferguson Jr. Courthouse in Miami. TH, 16-year-old stepbrother of Anna Kepner, was indicted as an adult by federal grand jury on charges of murder and aggravated SA in the killing of Kepner. Despite being charged as an adult, the teen is being identified as TH in court documents. So a date has been set. It's not going to happen. On to Nick Reiner, the murder of Rob and Michelle Reiner. This from the LA Times. Reiner murder case delayed to September. Autopsy reports not prepared. This written by James Quealy for LA Times. The murder case against Nick Reiner will not proceed until September, in part due to delays in the production of reports detailing the autopsies of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, officials said in court Wednesday. Reiner, 32, is charged with killing his parents inside the master bedroom of the family's Brentwood estate last December. Rob and Michelle were found stabbed to death on December 14th, and their son was arrested in Exposition Park roughly 12 hours later. During a brief hearing in downtown LA on Wednesday, this very day, Deputy District Attorney Jonathan Chung said prosecutors still have nearly 2 terabytes of discovery to provide to the defense. Chung said autopsy reports in the case had yet to be completed. It was not clear why the reports had yet to be completed more than 4 months after the killings. The LA County Medical Examiner's Office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Of course, they're not going to. A spokesman for the LA County District Attorney's Office declined to comment outside the courtroom, which of course that's appropriate. Reiner appeared wearing a yellow jail jumper with his hair cut short. He barely spoke during the hearing other than to answer yes to a couple questions from Superior Court Judge Sam Ota. Motive in the slayings has not been made public, blah, blah, blah. We know all that. So this is what he looked like today. And if you guys have not read the Substack from his older brother Jake, I suggest you do that. It is heartbreaking and illuminating. Now, we don't want to just leave with a bad taste in our mouth because we have just talked about bad news. So, Wanda, do you have anything that we need some transition music, Wanda? Can you do this for us? That would be terrific. Thank you.
Here we go again. On to something new. Don't you change the channel. We've got more for you.
Very cool. Very cool, Wanda. Love it. 1970s and 80s kind of TV theme. That's very good. And that did cleanse the palate for some good news from the Good News Network. I saw this when it happened. I love it. I love people. Boston Marathon runners praised for stopping to help injured competitor cross the finish line. And this is something that I love about sports. Good sportsmanship. 2 runners at the Boston Marathon stopped mid-race to help a fellow competitor who had collapsed due to severe leg cramps. A spectator was watching the race. I'm not purposefully I just don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, was watching the race on April 20th when she witnessed the emotional scene unfold near the closing stages. So not mid-race, I guess, Good News Network. Is near the closing stage. But that's okay. That's okay. It's fine. She said she noticed a runner in a black top suddenly come to a halt and buckle over in pain with cramp in his muscles, while several athletes ran past. Two competitors made the decision to stop and help. The pair lifted the struggling runner between them, each taking one side, and supported him as they continued along the course together. It was overwhelming to witness, said Bejra Kashem, I don't know how to say that, who was visiting from Bangkok. It felt like such a heartfelt moment, and I got emotional watching it happen. Seeing them choose to stop and help another runner instead was truly powerful and inspiring. The Boston Herald spoke with the runner, first timer Ajay Haridasi. I don't know. He had just crossed the 26-mile marker. Oh, so close, when he described his legs going limp. Struggling up, then falling again, his mind was battling his body on Bolliston Street for all to see. Quote, after falling down the fourth time, I was getting ready to crawl, he told the Herald. That's when two runners, Aaron Beggs in yellow and Robson Oliveira, the running in white, came to his aid. It might seem to an observer like a routine show of sportsmanship, but these athletes have goals in mind. If he was forced to crawl the last 0.2 miles, Herades might not have qualified for next year's race. Oliveira would have finished with a new personal best in the Boston Marathon and still stopped. Oh, I love it. Haridasi, I don't know, explained he felt humbled and honored that Oliveira and Beggs sacrificed their race times to help him. He looked up their bib numbers and found them on social media to extend his thanks. It was a split-second decision when I entered the final stretch of the marathon. I was just a few meters away from achieving my personal best, but in the distance I saw Haridasi collapsing. Oliveira wrote in a post on social media, I knew I wouldn't have the strength to help him on my own. In that moment, I thought, God, if someone stops, I'll stop too and help him. Both men ended up in the medical tent, with Oliveira ending up worse than Haridasi, suffering from extreme dehydration, but both recovered quickly. Haridasi, the fourth-year student at Northwestern University, is adamant he will run again next year. I love it. Thank you to these runners for giving us an example of terrific sportsmanship. That just makes me happy, and those guys are old headlines.
True crime headlines.
Hey guys, thanks for staying to the end. Let me just see if I can get my system to refresh here. My goodness, it is hard to... and just get your last comments before we go. Dude. Okay. Neto says, going back to listen to those songs are just sick, knowing it's about a literal child, talking about deformitas. Songs. Court Lurker says, I am too, Gavin. Prison justice is inevitable, but it happens. Two wrongs don't make a right, but I so get the sentiment of it. That's where I am. Yep. Young Favors Gaming, Gavin, have you seen the case from Indiana? It's not jogging my memory or ringing my bell right now. OC Girl says you should also cover cases of missing UCF doctoral student case. Go to my website, will you? gavinfish.com. There's a link down in the description below. Click on the little envelope icon in the menu to suggest a case. That helps me. I will forget by the time we finish this. See if there's anything else. Yeah, you guys are sharing some, but nobody put GF. Let me see. This one says, my first memory is of a toy cooker my dad made for me out of cardboard boxes when I was 3. We'd immigrated from England to Australia, and most of my toys were being shipped over with furniture. That's sweet. I love it. I love it. Wendy Cara says she sent a question. Good. Let's see. Linda is saying, Gavin, lots of reading and no yawning. Oh, yeah. I feel good today. There's been a lot. People following Strategic Eyes. Yes, definitely follow Strategic Eyes. That guy did some very, very, very good work. And then Debbie says, Gavin, glad we end on something good too. A big thanks to you, Fabulous Mods, and all the fishies in the deep blue sea. Thank you, Debbie. And thanks to all of you who stick around all the way to the end. I will put this latest filing up on to Patreon as soon as I am done here. Man, this might be a record for our longest live stream, but if you're a patron of mine, it'll be up there. If you're not a patron of mine, I would love it if you would consider that. Also consider joining us over in the Fish Tank on Facebook. The easiest way to find it is to go to my old website, gavinfish.com. And then on every page up in the corner, there's this little fishy that will take you to the tank, where we hang out and talk about all things true crime and some things about me. You're always welcome there. Always welcome to check out the website. Don't forget Crime Cod, which is my true crime website. Links to it are all over my website, including up on the menu and on the front page of my website. When you visit Crime Cod, you will see an opportunity to subscribe to the newsletter, which comes out weekly on Tuesdays. And I invite you, no guilt, no pressure, but I invite you to subscribe to that if you want a weekly true crime roundup, which is basically what it is. And with that, guys, I shall bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.